What's up, YouTube? It's the Console Samurai with Grown Ups Gaming. We all know that No Man's Sky did not have a smooth launch, not by any stretch of the imagination. When the game first came out and gamers got their hands on it, they found it was so far from what we were expecting and such a major disappointment that gamers almost universally trashed the game on the internet. And because it was such a huge disconnect between what we were promised and what we actually got, um, there were various reports, as I mentioned in a previous video, of the game actually being investigated in the UK for false advertising. Well, the game and the publisher were investigated for false advertising. It also led to a few death threats, some for Hello Games, the developer, actually saying they were going to delay the game, which actually probably would have been a good thing, because if they had delayed the game, they would have added some of the things that people really were disappointed weren't in the game. Some of the death threats came after the game was such a disappointment, but you know how death threats on the internet are. It also led to quite a few refunds. A large percentage of gamers got their digital copies of the games refunded because the game just didn't live up to the hype at all. It was such a huge disconnect. It also led to Sean Murray and Hello Games disappearing from social media, which naturally led people to believe, well, they've abandoned the game. The game is dead. It is not going to get any more support. That's it. It's only going to be a matter of time before the server shut down, and you really won't be able to play anymore. But it actually turns out that's incorrect. Hello Games did not abandon the game. They disappeared from social media, sure, but they actually did that to focus very heavily on the very first major update that we just got this past weekend. The Foundation update addresses a few of the core concerns that people had. Not all of them, but a few of them. And it also adds 2 new features to the game. One of them being a creative mode where you are not restricted by the amount of resources you have. You just go and just have fun in the game. It's an open sandbox kind of thing where you can build all of the things that you want to build with no restriction of what you actually have in your inventory, which is a cool idea. It is very good for people who kind of want to just take a laid-back approach to the game. People who really like Minecraft, stuff like that. It's a good mode for them. The other new mode is a much more difficult one, much more brutal one, where pretty much from what I've read, everything is out to get you. Much more like some of the games that we are more familiar with. So the Foundation update does address different playstyles, which is actually a pretty cool thing. I have not tested out either of these modes yet. I was just focusing on the new features that were added to all 3 of these modes by continuing my previous save on the regular mode. 2 of the new features, or actually I've only tried out 1 of the 2 new major features, which would be the base building. The base building is actually kind of an interesting idea, and it is a very good feature to have added. It's one of the things that people were expecting to have been added to the final game, but it wasn't added for whatever reason. I don't know if maybe they had planned on releasing it later or if they just were short on time and just removed that temporarily. It is an interesting idea because previously in the game, you know, you travel different planets and you scan alien life forms and alien plant life, and you harvest minerals and you harvest resources. But what are you actually harvesting these resources for? For the most part, you're just selling them. Sure, you use some of the resources to recharge your ship and recharge your shield and your weapon, but for the most part, you're just selling these resources back to get credits and taking those credits and buying more resources. It really was just a case of you're harvesting resources to be able to harvest more resources. It was just kind of a cycle that now has been broken by the base building, because now you actually can take those resources and you can build things with it. You can build a base with it. And it's not an incredibly quick process to build a base, because you still have to build a base or find a place where you can build a base, or find a base that you can just take over, and you have to get a builder, and then so on and so on. So it's not going to be a quick process, but it is enjoyable. It was fun. I played around with building a base last night, and a little bit on Sunday, but to be honest, I don't know how fast the novelty is going to wear off, because there's not a lot of different options for what you can build with a base, at least as far as I've seen. Maybe as I go farther, I will find more options for how to build a base, and maybe be able to build much more of a personalized base. But for right now, it is fun. I do think the novelty is going to wear off pretty quick. The other feature being freighters, which I haven't done that at all, but in my mind is very similar to the base building, where it's pretty much just going to be the same thing. You're just a mobile base instead of one on the planet. But like I said, I haven't tried that yet. But what do you think? Do you think that this Foundation update is going to be enough to breathe new life into the game and maybe actually bring it closer to what we were expecting it to be? Or do you think this is kind of just a band-aid solution that is just going to just delay the inevitable of No Man's Sky just being abandoned in the long run? Either way, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Once again, I am the Console Samurai, and I'll see you around.